Hi everybody. Hi Maura. Hi Robin. Hi Julie. I'm just waiting for the awesome Dr. Berry. Hi Heather. Sometimes hello Denise. Sometimes this takes a minute. Hi Bindi. There's Ken. Hey Robin. Hi Joe. Just got to wait for technology to do its thing. Hi Lillian. Hi Sandy. Yay! Did we do it? First time, did I do it right?
I think we did it. You're getting good at this, Carrie Brown.
Oh, look. Hey, look, we didn't, there was no memo, but look at us.
I know. We look smashing.
Coordinated shirts and everything.
Yes. There. Now I think I'm straight. Am I straight? Look at that. Wow. We clean up pretty well.
Except I couldn't find my earbuds, so I haven't got matching earbuds, but oh well.
I bet Mr. McHenry took them.
Mr. McHenry. Okay, hang on. I got to turn my volume up. Hang on just a minute. Okay, there we go. Hi, Candy. I'm so proud of myself.
I know, you did very well.
Roberts is watching. Uh-oh.
Is that good or bad?
You may have met Brett. He kind of looks like a mini Danny Vega. He's married to Mary Roberts, who's one of the Keto Evangelist executive coaches.
Yes.
He was giving me gun lessons at KetoCon.
Ah, very nice. So what's going on, Carrie Brown? Tell me what's been up with you since I last saw you.
Well, do we really want to go there?
I don't know, do we?
Probably not.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, so I think people who follow me know that I found out last week that I have Lyme disease, and I did a little live on that just to say I have Lyme disease and I'm kind of really just trying to get my head around this. So so that was that, and I don't really have any update other than I have named my Lyme disease Jenny, and Jenny's a bee. So so I'm fatigued a lot, and I have like mini 10 to 15 minute fevers like 20 times a day, and I have this neck pain here, and yeah, so it's interesting. But we're working this month, for the first month we're working on prepping my body ready for the onslaught of evicting Jenny. So yes. We're just like building my liver up and building my immune system up and just getting ready to attack.
Because Jenny the bee's got to go.
Because she's being evicted. Like this month, she's having her 30 days, her eviction notice, and then beginning of September, we're gonna get her out of there. So
well, I sure hope you feel better soon.
Me too. So anyway, so that was my news. The other news is I have my girlfriend, my best friend here from Seattle, and so it's been fantastic to see. I haven't seen anyone from Seattle since I left back in at the end of February, so that's been super cool too.
Very
and what
nice.
about you?
We've been very busy. We've been making videos. I've started working on the second book in earnest now, and I've got our entire dining room table covered. There's no room to eat. We have to eat standing up now because I've got the book kind of spread out in process. So yeah.
Well, you know, with your love of sardines, you don't even need a plate. You can just eat them out the can. Right. So that works.
That's right. Yeah. As long as you're outdoors, that is. Yeah. Absolutely. I know, right? She's working on a video right now. Carrie Brown says hello. Nisha says hello. She might pop on in a second. I don't know. She's very busy.
It's kind of quiet around the Brown house without the berries here causing mayhem.
Well, we certainly miss you and your bacon and eggs.
And my bacon and eggs. And my ice cream. Don't forget the ice cream.
Yes, your sassy goat. OMG.
And McHenry.
Yes, poor old Mr. McHenry. So what are we talking about this evening?
We're talking about one of the things that makes me rantiest, which is macros.
Yes, I love it. Let's talk about macros.
If any of my fabulous kitchen admins, if you could make sure this gets shared to the kitchen and to the success groups, that would be fantastic. And if someone could also share it to Dr. Berry's page, wall, all the things, that would be fantastic too.
And I don't know if you mind or not, Carrie, but anybody watching this can share this video, as far as I'm concerned, on their page or in their keto groups. You guys have my permission if it's okay with Carrie.
Yep, share it to all the places, because macros is a big thing, and everybody comes across macros at some point in their keto journey. It's kind of thing you learn after keto is macro. So if we can help as many people as possible during this live, that would be fantastic. So share away.
Absolutely. Yeah, macros get a lot of airtime and a lot of, people talk and figure and calculate and pontificate and confabulate and all kinds of other things about macros, when in reality, I think Carrie and I agree about this, you should probably calculate your macros once just to kind of get a rough idea, but they're never set in stone. Everything's changing every day. And so to think you have to hit a certain number or avoid a certain number is kind of, it'll slow you down. It'll hang you up. You'll get all caught up in that. And then you forget what you're supposed to be doing.
My angst, and my people who listen to the Keto Evangelist Kitchen podcast or who hang out in the kitchen Facebook group know my angst with macros is more around from the recipe standpoint, is that Brian and I being the recipe developer, we never provide macros. We never provide the nutritional information for the recipes I produce, and there's no macros in my cookbooks. And there's a really good bunch of reasons why that is so. But people that don't know me don't know that, and a lot of people don't understand why. I have a lot of emails from people saying, I have type 1 diabetes, and it's absolutely critical that I know the macros. You need to give me the macros. To which my response is, if it is truly that critical that you know what your macros are, then the last thing you should be doing is giving that job, that calculation, to a third party random person on the internet, food blogger, cookbook author, and here's why. Those numbers are inaccurate even for the person who calculated those numbers. And then you're going to make that recipe and you're going to use different ingredients. You're not going to use the same brands, so the macros are going to be slightly different. You might not have almond milk, so you substitute it with coconut milk. Your macros are going to be different.
Right.
You may not have enough of something. Your macros are going to be different. You may tweak the recipe to suit you. Your macros are going to be different. You may only eat a third of it. Your macros are going to be different. So if you are relying on third-party food bloggers, cookbook authors, recipe developers, and going by those macros, it doesn't bear a lot of resemblance to what you are actually eating. And all that matters is what you are actually eating.
Yes.
So, and the reason I get ranty about this is because, you know, people run into problems and they struggle and they say, my macros are on point, but you actually don't really know what your macros are. And
That's absolutely right.
the simplest way, I mean, so try this, right? Go to your fridge. I know that every single one of you's got a packet of bacon in your fridge. If you don't, then I don't know
Yeah.
why you're.
We can't be friends if you don't have bacon in the fridge.
So go to the fridge, pull out that packet of bacon, take all the we call them rashers in England. Take all the rashers, all the slices out. There's a visual right there. No two pieces of bacon are the same. So already you know just from a piece of bacon that the protein to fat is not the same for everyone. So if you're looking at the macros on that packet of bacon, how do you know which piece matches the macros on the back, right? You don't. And then you're going to cook the bacon, and depending on how long you cook it for, because do you like it squishy like me, or do you like it crispy like Ken? Or so, you know, how much fat is rendered off depends on all sorts of things, how you cooked it, how long you cooked it. You have, by the time you've eaten that piece of bacon, you have really no idea how much of anything you've eaten. And we're just talking about bacon. Now, if you multiply that across 12 ingredients in a recipe, and you probably haven't followed that recipe exactly, and you may have made a substitution, and you may have used a different sweetener, or you may have used a different nut milk or whatever, then you can suddenly see that my data, it probably doesn't bear a ton of resemblance to what you actually eat when you make that recipe and eat it.
Absolutely true. And so Carrie's going to talk to you about how worrying about macros on her end is kind of foolish. I'm going to then talk to you about how worrying about your own macros is also very misleading if you don't understand everything that's going on. I actually read an interesting article the other day, Carrie Brown, that said that like any kind of pre-packaged meal, the macros listed on the side, that's only an approximation. Like it can be plus or minus 10%, the protein, the fat, the carbs, any of that. But now if it's a uniform thing like a cake or a cookie or a chip, then it's probably pretty close. But if it's a like a, you know, a meat and veg, some kind of prepackaged meal, they have no idea the exact macro count that's in that prepackaged meal, right? And that's just like if you go to a fast food restaurant and order whatever, or a sit down restaurant, and you say, I want to see your, you know, your nutrition information. Those are approximations. Those are not the exact amount of macros that are in the exact meal that you're going to eat. And then you may not finish your meal. And then again, there your macros change. Is that, have you heard that before, Carrie, that a lot of the prepackaged stuff, it's just an approximation. Those are not exact numbers.
Yeah. And then of course you have to eat amount, or you have to, if you're not eating all of it, then you've got to weigh it out. And you know, how many chocolate chips are in that cookie, right? Like you know. And the other thing is that online calculators drive me completely mad, and I'll tell you why. Because a couple of years ago, when I got one of my cookbooks, and I had one of our amazing admins in the kitchen Facebook group, Kyra Moulton. I tasked her, I said, can you run all of the recipes from this cookbook through online calculators and come up with macros? So I think she had about 8 different online calculators. She ran those recipes through 8 different online macro calculators. I ran those same recipes through the same 8 online macro calculators. We came up with 16 different answers.
Right. And so that is, I mean, that's literally definitive proof. You will never know the exact macros of the meal that you just ate or the meal you're about to eat. It's impossible to know.
So if we got 16 different sets of numbers, macros, for the exact same recipe, just put it through 2 different people, you know, because the databases are huge, and, you know, I put whatever leaks in, and I used raw leaks and she used cooked leaks. And those numbers are completely different right from the start. So we got 16 different sets of macros for the one recipe with no tweaks. The exact recipe as it was written. Who knows, put your hands up, who knows which of those 16 numbers was right?
No, I don't know.
No, nobody knows which one was right. So which one do you pick?
Right. The one you like best.
And
right.
Were off by, 10, 20, some of them were off like by 30 grams difference, which,
right.
So you don't know, and you don't know which number to pick. So, and the point of me telling you all this is not to drive you crazy or scare you. It's just macros are inherently inaccurate.
Yes.
The reason we do not give you macros or my is because I am not in the business of providing you with inaccurate, irrelevant, useless data.
Right.
Why would I do that? So if you want to get as close as possible, then you need to punch into whatever online calculator you like the exact amounts of the exact ingredients that you use divided by the amount that you actually consumed. Your answer will still not be accurate for all the reasons we've just talked about.
Right.
But it will be more accurate than any data I could give you.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, just for example, if you take a pork chop, there's really, even if, no matter, and you download one of the macro apps that tells you, and you put in, okay, I'm going to eat a pork chop, and it says, oh, that's so many grams of protein and so many grams of fat. Well, what size pork chop is this? How much does it weigh? What's the fat trim? Was the pig grass finished, or pasture finished, or was the pig grain fed? All of those things change the macros. And so really, I think, is it fair to say, Carrie, that you should use the macro counters like that for just a rough approximation of what your meal has? And you really need to calculate it yourself, because I don't know how much of it you're going to prepare. I don't know if you went heavy on the olive oil. I don't know if you added extra cream. I don't know if I don't know how you made that recipe. So please never ask me or Carrie to calculate your macros. You don't want us to do that for you. You'll trigger Carrie. She might start cursing in British. I don't know, but I will be like, no, trust me, dude, you do not want me to calculate the macros in that meal.
I've just, of course, I've been consumed with watching videos and reading information about Lyme for the last week, and Lyme rage is a thing.
It is. Do not
set me with the macros.
Careful. Do not enrage her with the macros. And so I think it's probably safe to say, for a newcomer, somebody just coming to this way of eating, they're like, well, okay, Carrie Brown, what the hell am I supposed to do then? Use the macro counters as a rough guideline, but just realize they can be off. They can be plus or minus 20% on any given macro, depending on how you make the recipe, depending on how much you eat, etc. And so use them as a rough guideline, but never ever think that they're set in stone. That, oh, a pork chop has 14 grams of fat. Boom, that's it. I'm going to memorize that, and that's it. No, that's meaningless information. You're doing busy work. Just like the old way of counting calories and recording the calories of everything, when in reality, first of all, the calories don't matter. Secondly, you can never know the exact calorie count of any single ingredient unless you put it in a bomb calorimeter and burn it up. Then you might come close, but even then there's going to still be a margin of error. So you can never really know. These things are just approximations. So don't be a stickler about that. And I applaud Carrie for not putting macros with her recipes. I think that's a very mature, very wise thing to do, because you can't know. And I mean, would you rather she just make some numbers up?
Yeah.
Because that's what lots of people do. Is that hint? That's what a lot of people are doing.
But I may as well, because which of those 16 sets of numbers for that one recipe, I'm just going to pick one. I'm going to say, oh, okay, and I'm not going to do this at all. But, if I was a food blogger that felt compelled to provide macros, would I maybe be compelled to just pick the one of the 16 with the lowest carbs?
Mm-hmm, of course. It's human nature.
Right? But I may as well make numbers up as to pick one out of 16 different answers for the same recipe. I may as well just make stuff up. And I just don't do either of those things.
Exactly.
So and if people are now freaking out and saying, well, how do I track my macros and what do I do? You need to, if you're, and maybe this is hard, but we want you, Dr. Berry and I want you to be successful. We want you to succeed. If you are not willing to put some work into your health and you're relying on other people's macro data, then I think the chances of you succeeding are less. We all have to take responsibility for our own health. And that means the most accurate macro data you are going to get is you using whatever you determine the most accurate calculator is you putting what you eat, the ingredients you use for the recipes you make into a calculator. And then, and Angie just said it now, listen to your body. Yes. So if wherever you're at with that calculator, do that, use that one calculator for a while. If you're getting your results, then, keep doing that one. So you at least have a constant. Yes. If you hop around from different calculators, then, then nothing's going to be constant because they're all going to give you different results. Exactly. The other thing I always say to people is focus more on eating keto foods. Yes, real food. And get a list. We have the Keto Evangelist. If you go to ketoevangelist.com and subscribe, you will get a food list. And the Keto Evangelist folks, we're pretty hardcore. We're with Dr. Berry. We're not that if it fits your macros, we're kind of down the hard end. And so get that food list and focus on eating those foods rather than trying to figure out with all these other different ingredients, then trying to work out what the macros are. Exactly right. Exactly. Eat real food. Eat real food. Eat real organic, real food, real keto. Eat real keto food. Don't eat products. Don't buy prepackaged stuff. Eat real food and take the time when you're first learning this way of eating to calculate your own macros when you make a recipe. You've got to figure that yourself, realizing that even if you do it, it's still going to probably be plus or minus 10%. And that's okay. That's okay. All right. Because if you're eating a real ketogenic food, it's very forgiving. That's one of the beautiful things about the ketogenic way of eating is it's not like, calorie restriction. If you go 100 calories over, you just screwed the day. The ketogenic way of eating is not like that. It's very forgiving. If you're eating the right foods, you're going to get there eventually. But also I see people in our Facebook groups get completely upset. They really are terrified that, if I'm over 10 grams on my protein today, well, one, you don't actually know whether you're 10 grams over or not because your data could be quite inaccurate, so you might not be. But also, you take your view off like this day. You look over the course of the week. Your protein and your fat's not going to be static. You're going to have a little bit more protein one day and a little bit less the next. And if you have this myopic view of like, oh my goodness, this meal, my macros weren't perfect, I'm over on my protein, you're just going to drive yourself crazy and you're not going to get any better result. Exactly. But you're going to be mad at the end of it all. I mean, you're just, it becomes, and I remember for me, when I first started, and of course I did it for my bipolar. And so it was important for me to be focusing on super high, healthy whole food fats. After 3 months of like weighing everything, tracking everything, I mean, it literally, I didn't even want to eat food anymore because every mealtime was just so like, it was just like, oh, I've got to count again. And I got to, and it took the joy out of eating for me. Right. And I started to resent keto. Yeah.
Your
even though
meal
that
should not be a chemistry experiment. You shouldn't have to figure up your chemistry experiment before you eat.
right.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
get the food list and learn it. Learn what the keto foods are and
Yes.
learn, we're talking about nuts generally are keto, but then learn for yourself which, because, everything's on a continuum. So pili nuts and macadamia nuts and Brazil nuts are way down the keto end, and pistachios and cashews are at the other end. Learn this
Dang.
stuff. Learn it for
Yep.
yourself when you're starting, and if you've got a lot of weight to lose, or you've got a lot of, you're trying to heal bipolar, or there's all these other things that keto's fabulous for, stay down the macadamia and Brazil end. Later on, maybe you can toss a few cashews and pistachios in there, but learn this stuff for yourself so that you understand. You can take your mind off the numbers and the tracking, and you can just know what keto looks like without having to try and track and to wrestle with this inaccurate data all the time.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk now, Carrie, about figuring your own macros. We've talked about calculating the macros of a recipe or some kind of food. The other place where there's so much inaccuracy and so much unknownness is when you're trying to figure what your macros should be, that you should try to hit, right? And so when a newcomer comes, like you said, you can download 5 different macro apps, put in your height, your weight, your age, your gender, and whether you want to, gain, lose, or maintain. And the macro is going to figure your basal metabolic rate. That's what it's going to do. And it's going to put a calorie number on that. And then it's going to put a percentage on that based on whether you want to lose, gain, or hold your own. And then they're going to give you a number. Okay, this is how many fat grams you should eat a day. This is how many protein grams and how many grams of carbs, right? So here's just some of the inaccuracies that are built into that calculation. Let's talk about your basal metabolic rate, okay? Now, here are just a few of the things that can affect your basal metabolic rate from minute to minute, not even to mention from day to day. Are you pissed off or are you very calm? That changes your BMR. Are you sick? Are you very healthy? Are you wearing a sweater or are you wearing a t-shirt? Do you wear clothes all day or do you run around in shorts and a t-shirt? Are you outside? Are you active? Do you have a desk job? Do you stand up? How many times a day do you take a flight of stairs? Are you hypothyroid and just don't know it? Are you right? Do you sleep with lots of covers at night or no covers at night? Do you have a fan in your room? Do you have no fan in your room? Do you like to keep your house at 72 degrees or do you like to keep your house at 69 degrees? All those things I just said are just a tiny percentage of the things that go into to calculating what your BMR or your basal metabolic rate actually is from minute to minute. And so what my BMR is right now could be 20% different than what it is this Saturday when I'm outside playing in the yard. Does that make sense? And so then they ask you the famous question, are you trying to gain, lose, or hold your own? Then they're just going to throw a random percentage onto your BMR, and that's how they calculate your macros. And so first of all, if you download 4 different macro apps, you're going to get 4 different sets of macros that you should try to hit. And then when you realize, gosh, my basal metabolic rate changes from hour to hour, from day to day. It depends on my mood. It depends on the weather. It depends on the thermostat. All that stuff matters. Then you realize all of this stuff is just an approximation. It's just to give you a rough idea. And all the macro apps ought to say that. This is an approximation. This is not the actual number. And so because I see, Carrie, so many newcomers saying, gosh, I gotta eat 10 more grams of fat to hit my fat macro. No. If you're not hungry, no, you don't have to do that, right? And so it's really hard to kind of get a feel for this when you first come to this way of eating, because you're like, gosh, I got all these numbers I calculated, and then Carrie Brown won't put the damn macros in a recipe, so I don't even know how many fat grams are in that, and then I don't even know how many fat grams I'm supposed to be eating. And so then it all comes back to what Carrie said, which are the words of wisdom: just eat keto foods. eat real whole keto foods. If you do that, you're going to be moving towards your goal, whatever that is, whether it's weight loss, whether it's building muscle, or whether it's improving your psoriasis, whether it's reversing your type 2 diabetes, etc.
And listen to your body.
Yes, listen to your body.
You know, if you're not reaching your goals, tweak something.
Yes.
And just understand that, you know, one day isn't going to wreck anything. Over time, you know, try something. If it's not working, lower your protein, up your fat. If that's not working, up your protein, lower the fat.
Absolutely.
We're all individuals, and we all need, within the bounds of keto, we all need to find out what our secret sauce is that's the results you want. But
absolutely,
just know that that secret sauce is going to change when
as time goes on. Yep.
Your body heals, and if you're looking for weight loss, as you lose weight and your body adjusts, that secret sauce, you're going to have to change it.
Yep.
So
and that's right.
If you lose a huge amount of fat, you may have to start eating more protein and less fat. It might be the opposite. I know people who both ways. I know a ton of people who have eaten super high fat and lost 150 pounds. I know other people who will put on a ton of weight if they eat that way. So within the bounds of keto, you have to find out what works for you. And then if you plateau and you stop, you know, moving forward, tweak. Don't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. If you're not, you know, if it's no longer working, keto still works. You just need to tweak your ratios to what your body needs now that it heals, because as you heal, your body's going to work differently. Your body chemistry is going to work differently. Your hormones are no longer quite as crazy as they were when you started, and that affects everything. And
including your basal metabolic rate. Everything Carrie just says changes your basal metabolic rate. So you literally would have to recalculate every time you lose a pound, every time your hormones get a little better, every time your thyroid gets a little healthier. You'll have to recalculate your macros if you're trying to really get a black and white number that's very accurate. So stop worrying about that. And also another thing is, please don't become a keto bully or a keto police. Like some people, as Carrie said, they do very well with a high protein, moderate fat keto that someone, a very smart guy, Dr. Ted Naiman, that's kind of what he recommends. And for some people that works wonderfully. Other people need a very fat, heavy, moderate protein, Dr. Berry keto. And for some people that works like magic. But whatever you're doing, as long as it's working, keep doing it. When and if you stall, then you tweak, then you hack, then you adjust, you move your macros around, you try to eliminate a food that you think may be the culprit. But it all comes back to this is all about eating real whole keto foods.
Yep. Should we do questions?
Yeah, let's do some questions. And I hope that Mr. McHenry is going to make an appearance. I'm going to feel slighted if he doesn't.
Where is he? I can see Zebedee and Daisy. I can't see Mr. McHenry, but if I whistle, he'll come. So you
yeah.
I'll whistle.
Okay, let's see. Let's see some questions here.
Oh, Jenny. So Jeannie Young, what is the link for the keto food list? So if you go to www.ketovangelist, KETOVANGELIST, ketoevangelist.com, and subscribe to the email list, you will be sent the food list in your email. And we're, as I said earlier, we're kind of hardcore. We're not, if it fits your macro, we're not like, we're hardcore, like Dr. Berry. We're just like, no, stay away from that stuff. Yeah. So it's the harder end, not harder to do, but it's in the less lenient end of keto.
Yeah. And also on my Facebook page, I have a link, and I call it my ketogenic guidebook, but it's really just an extended food list of stuff that you can eat. If it's not in my guidebook, don't eat it. And so somebody just asked which macro app I recommend. I don't recommend any of them. Okay. But just download one, figure your macros one time to get a rough idea. And that's what I mean, a rough idea. You don't need to document anything down to the 1 gram of anything. Just eat real food. Okay. Just follow Carrie's guide list or my guidebook and eat those foods, and your health is going to improve. And if you're trying to lose weight, that's going to come either quickly or slowly, but probably a combination of both.
So somebody, and I forget the name because it scrolled by too fast, but somebody just asked, how long before you start to tweak? And I would say if you've stalled for a month, tweak.
Yep.
If you don't see a shift in 2 weeks, tweak again. I don't know what Dr. Berry thinks, but for me,
yeah, Nisha and I,
for 3 days, it's not long enough for your body.
That's right.
To start adjusting.
That's right. Especially if you're a woman, you don't make any decisions based on what your body's done over the last 3 days, because as you know, you guys' hormones are changing constantly. You got to give, and so we recommend 4 to 6 weeks, which is about what Carrie says. If whatever your goal is, if you've stalled on your journey towards that goal, whether it's weight loss or improvement of whatever, after 4 to 6 weeks, if you're not making any progress, then you can tweak. You can say, okay, what about this? What about that? And let me try a month of this. Let me try a month of that. And all the time you're reading, you're watching videos, you're learning, you're watching Carrie live as she talks about all the delicious keto foods. You're watching maybe one of my YouTube videos. Nisha and I are doing a month of strict carnivore. I didn't know if you knew that or not, Carrie. And somebody just said no macros on carnivore. That's right. You just eat your meat, baby. Come here, Nisha Berry. Look.
Yay, Nisha Berry. I miss you.
I miss you too.
Daisy misses you.
Aww.
Daisy's been sad ever since you left.
Daisy's been sad.
Oh.
She's been doing the sad meow.
Oh no. We'll be back soon.
Yeah, we'll be back. If you guys want to check out any of Nisha's stuff, if you'll just Google Nisha Loves It, all of her social media will pop up. And you can check her out. She's actually doing a daily vlog all month long about our carnivore experiment. So you guys can check that out if you're curious about carnivore.
And while we're talking about carnivore and I think, Dr. Berry's doing it for a month, right? And I think a month is perfect for seeing if something works, because it's not too long. It's not, if you just don't like eating just meat, but it's not, 4 weeks is not long enough for it to drive you mad or for it to be too much or for it to seem endless. A month goes by really fast. So I think if you're going to try something new, if you're going to try no dairy, if you're going to try no sweeteners, if you're going to try no nuts, a month is like the perfect amount of time to try something, to see if you get results, but for it not to feel like a burden or not to feel like forever or not to feel like, your life has ended. Or I think a month is a really, really great time to test something out.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Totally agree. Let's see if I can't get, there they go. Okay. Now I got some questions. Everybody's thanking us for freeing them from the macro ball and chain.
Yeah.
Right? Jill's goal is to never struggle with her anxiety again. Jill, keto on. I've had so many people at the clinic be able to decrease or stop their anxiety medication after a few months on keto. So you keep it up. Let's see. Where's a good question? All these are great comments, but I don't see a question. Is what it takes for you to lie about and breathe. I've lost 42 pounds so far. Oh, there he is.
Over here, look. What's this?
Meow.
Sorry.
He's like, if you're not feeding me, I'm not interested.
Yeah, there's not kibble involved. So in the UK, do you guys is the sound a cat makes, is it meow or is it something different?
No, it's
because
meow.
Because in some countries it's mew or it's like what? I've never heard of that before, but I didn't know if you guys said meow. That's probably where we got it. Hey, Amanda.
So this is Mr. McHenry.
The famous Mr. McHenry. Yeah, everybody's just thanking us that they don't have to worry with that crap anymore. I've lost 35 pounds, love the keto life. Yeah, these guys are just being very supportive and very positive. You guys, if you have any questions, ask us a question. Now's the time. We are happy to answer. Do you see any good questions on your end? I'm trying to get back to the end.
Oh, I missed it. Well, there was a medical question. When to stop pravastating and fenofibrate? I don't know what that means.
Okay, so if you're a woman, I am a doctor, but I'm not your doctor, right? And so this is not medical advice. This is just me and Carrie Brown talking. But ask your doctor, if you're a woman and you're taking a statin like lovastatin, Zocor, Lipitor, Livolo, or Crestor, ask your doctor, what research, doctor, do you base the decision to give me as a woman a statin? And I'd like a copy of that study, because here's the problem. There's never been any study that shows that lowering a woman's cholesterol does anything to her except shorten her life. Now, if you're an older white man and you've had a heart attack, there might be a little research that shows that you need to take Lipitor, Zocor, or Crestor. But if you're a woman, there's no research that shows that you ever should take a statin. So don't stop any of your medications based on what I just said. Go ask your doctor, why am I taking a statin? Why am I taking Crestor, Lipitor, Zocor? Is there any research that shows that improves a woman's quality of life or lengthens her life or prevents heart attack and stroke? And if your doctor says, yes, there is, then say, please print me out a copy of that study. But don't be surprised if you never get the copy of that study, because there is no such study. Now, if you're a man, you might need a statin or you might not, probably not, but go talk to your doctor and just ask them. So yeah, any of the statins, if you're a woman, you probably don't need that.
Deanne, yes, keto can help bipolar. Teresa,
Absolutely.
Dirty Hippie is the first keto ice cream in my book you should try. And Dr. Berry's had Dirty Hippie, so he can attest to that.
I like Dirty Hippie. Nisha loved Dirty Hippie. I think Siobhan Huggins fell in love with Dirty Hippie. My favorite is Sassy Goat and the blueberry cheesecake. I'm not sure at just to what lengths I would go to get a bowl of either one of those. It might surprise you just what I would do for a bowl of either one of those.
So yeah, Dirty Hippie is super simple. It's one of the simplest to make. And Dirty Hippie is chai espresso. So it's like spicy coffee. So that's going to be perfect for folks. So Patty says, oh, where was it? I had the widow make a heart attack, Crestor, Plavix, and Metrapolol. Is this normal?
That is a normal thing for a doctor to give someone who's had a heart attack. So there's no, and if that was a woman who asked the question, I'm guessing. Yeah. Go see her. Yeah, go see her. You probably do need the Plavix and the metoprolol. Go ask your doctor. Is there research that shows that a woman is protected from taking a statin even after a heart attack? Is there any research that shows that? And see what your doctor says. You might be surprised.
Oh, they're coming so fast now, I can't read them.
That's a good sign.
How does carnivore work with the idea of gluconeogenesis?
Excellent question. There's a video by Dr. Ben Bikman, B-I-K-M-A-N, that talks about this in great detail, and he hits a grand slam home run. What's the equivalent in cricket? Like a grand slam home run's the best thing you can do in baseball. What is it in cricket? Like the best, because you're British, so you have to know that.
It's been a long time. And don't say this out loud, but when women watch cricket, they're not watching.
I see.
Yeah, they're not watching what's going on with
Should have known that. So he talks about this. When you're eating the standard American diet or any kind of diet that's really high in carbohydrates, then the amount of grams of protein that you eat does affect gluconeogenesis and can affect your insulin level. But when you're eating keto or very low carb, high healthy fat, protein has almost no effect on your insulin level at all, almost no effect. It has a tiny effect, but it's really inconsequential. But when you're eating keto or carnivore, you have to remember you're eating 0 carbs effectively, maybe 1 gram a day, but really you're eating 0 grams of carbohydrates a day. So the protein has no effect whatsoever on your insulin level. Your body is going to perform some gluconeogenesis because you have to have glucose to feed your red blood cells because they don't have nucleus or mitochondria, so they can't make their own energy. They have to have glucose. And so your liver's going to make some glucose, but that's okay. That's normal. That's what our ancestors did 100,000 years ago. But don't worry. If you're eating carnivore, which is just fatty meat and nothing else, you don't have to worry about macros at all. And that's one of the things I really love about carnivore is you don't have to count crap. You just take a big hunk of fatty meat, throw it in something and cook it, and then eat it. Love it.
Okay. Wendy wanted to know, does magnesium help depression and how much per day? So I would say, and you can give the doctor's official version. In my experience, yes, it does. And what I do, or in my experience, I take Calm, which is magnesium citrate, and I take it right before I go to bed in a small glass of water. I put about a teaspoon in a glass of water. Because magnesium is that's why they call it calm. Magnesium makes you sleepy and it makes you chill, as well as raising the magnesium levels in your body. So yes, I take magnesium citrate every night. How do I know how much to take? Magnesium citrate can make you go to the bathroom more often. And I'm not talking about peeing. So the way I dose it is, start off with half a teaspoon in a glass of water. And if you're fine with that, you could go up to a teaspoon if you feel you need it. If you get diarrhea in the morning, then just back off that night.
Absolutely.
So that's what I do, and that's my experience. But Dr. Berry can now give you the official doctor version.
So I take a magnesium a little bit every day. So except for the days I forget. Some days my ADD kicks in and I just forget all about it, baby. So, but we use magnesium citrate as well. And don't you shake your head, Nisha Berry. She thought that was cute. She thought I was trying to be cute. Whatever. So, but and a lot of times if I'm going to have ground beef, I'll just we have the magnesium in that's like a dropper. It's a liquid. And so I'll put it 200 or 300 milligrams in the meat and just mix it up, the ground beef, and just eat it, fry it and eat it. And I'm getting my magnesium as I eat my meat. Sometimes I'll put it in a little short glass of sparkling water before bedtime. And I try to get about 800 milligrams a day total. Sometimes I'll put 100 milligrams in my morning coffee just because magnesium, a lot of people don't realize this. Most of us know by now that it does help you sleep. That's true. And it does help you in the restroom with number 2, not number 1. But what a lot of people don't realize is that magnesium is one of the most heart healthy minerals on the planet. There's nothing that really helps your heart, any of the minerals that helps much better than magnesium. Okay, it's very protective of the heart. And so I try to use a little magnesium every single day. Normal people with normal kidney function can take anywhere from 200 milligrams to 1,200 milligrams a day, depending on how much they need for sleep, how much they need for number 2 in the bathroom, and just how much they need, because it even helps with anxiety. That's why they call it Calm. But I wouldn't go over 1,200 milligrams a day without going to your doc and letting him check some blood work. But yeah, the average dose is 400 to 800 milligrams a day, and everybody's fine with that.
So, interesting point to add, because of course I'm fixated with Lyme disease right now. So Jenny, which is the name I've given to my Lyme disease, Jenny pulls up magnesium like nobody's business. So if you have Lyme disease, and you will find that taking magnesium really helps with the fatigue. And one of the reasons is that Jenny, or whatever you call your Lyme disease, is gobbling it up. So you will need extra magnesium if you have Lyme.
Absolutely.
And the thing about, you can take magnesium in the form of, which will really help you at bedtime, is magnesium flakes or Epsom salts in a bath or a foot bath. If you don't want to take it, you can just put magnesium flakes or Epsom salts in a bath and soak in that, or just dunk your feet in a foot bath for 20 minutes before you go to bed. That is also very soporific. It will help you sleep, and you'll probably find that that will be less busy on your bowel.
Yes. Yeah, that certainly won't have as much effect on your bowels. True.
Yeah, you don't have to take it orally. You can bathe in it, and your skin will absorb the magnesium that you need. Now, someone said, Serena said, which magnesium is the type to avoid?
Well, there's really no type to avoid. Some gurus out there will say that magnesium oxide, you should avoid it because it's not good for you. But that's not true at all. The problem with magnesium oxide is that it's just not absorbed well in the human gut at all. And so you poop it out and you don't absorb it. And that is the kind of magnesium that most doctors will give you, because there's a prescription for magnesium oxide. And most doctors believe that if it's not a prescription, then it doesn't work. But in my experience, magnesium citrate works great. But now I'll tell you, magnesium citrate is the one that works the most on the bowels. And so if you tend to be loose instead of constipated, you might want to try instead magnesium threonate or magnesium malate or magnesium, the other one escaped me. But don't get the magnesium oxide because it's not well absorbed. And if you have trouble with diarrhea, don't get magnesium citrate.
One more. Have we got time for one more question?
Yes, let's do one more good question.
We've got everybody fixated on magnesium now.
Absolutely. Hey, Pick.
Yay, Wendy, 62 pounds in a year. That's absolutely fantastic. Well done.
Oh, looks like you guys are going to get to meet Pickles, maybe, if he doesn't scratch me. This is our cat. He's an outside cat, and he comes in sometimes. This is Pickles. Say hi, Pickles.
Hey, Pickles.
He's very shy.
What about magnesium and ulcerative colitis?
So magnesium is good for every human being on the planet. If you have ulcerative colitis and you tend to have loose stools, then you don't want to get magnesium citrate. You want to get another form of magnesium. But still, you need magnesium. Everybody who has a beating heart needs magnesium, even Pickles.
So Laurie, multivitamins query.
Yeah. So multivitamins is it? Now, you're an American now. You're in the U.S. Call it what it is. It's not vitamins. A multivitamin, there's so many varied opinions. There's so much difference in the quality of one multivitamin versus another multivitamin. I would just say if you want to take a multivitamin, get a reputable brand and just take it. And I really don't, I've never seen any. It's just a cesspool of opinions when it comes to multivitamins. I don't take a multivitamin. I just try to eat enough varied real foods that I know I'm going to get the vitamins that I need. Meat is the most nutrient dense food on the planet. Yes, absolutely, organ meat. And I just posted a YouTube video. A lot of people are worried about vitamin C on the carnivore diet. Like, where am I going to get my vitamin C from? So most meat has a little vitamin C, but the organ meats, liver has some, but pancreas and spleen they're like just full of vitamin C. I don't know how to cook a pancreas or a spleen. I bet Carrie Brown knows, but I don't know how to do that. But I can eat the heck out of some liver, and that's what I do. And that's how I get my vitamin C on carnivore. Yeah, that was good.
Okay, well, one more, but they're scrolling really fast. Oh, what? Yeah, Lucinda, no, magnesium oxide is not absorbed very well.
Right. Yeah. It's not dangerous. It's just, you just don't absorb it. It's wasted money, and it doesn't help your health.
Yep. Teresa, you're very sweet. Teresa just said that you and I are the best. So
Oh, thank you.
we even have
Thank you.
matching shirts tonight. So that,
Yes, and we each had our own cat, stunt double. So there you go.
all right, it's we're at 55 minutes, which is long, but we're very thankful that we've
Yeah.
been able to help you with some of your questions. If anyone has, in the last few minutes, if anyone has any questions about macros, which is what we started with, now's the time.
Yes.
Beef or chicken? Beef, well, if you're going to have chicken, make sure the skin's still on it.
Yes. Yeah. Give the breast to the cats and you eat the legs and the wings and the thighs because that's where the fat's at.
Or if you like poultry, eat duck.
Oh, yes. Eat duck. Oh, my goodness. And duck eggs, man, they're amazing. I love duck eggs.
Super fatty. Ducks are
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Actually,
Yes.
anything that, any waterfowl are by nature very much fattier than land fowl because they have to insulate themselves from the water. So if it's poultry and it swims, eat it.
Yes. And bring me some.
So goose, duck, fabulous. Chicken, turkey, not so much. If you do eat
Yeah.
chicken and turkey, make sure you eat the dark meat and eat the skin.
Yes. Absolutely.
How many
Absolutely.
macros do you need each day? Nobody can tell you that. You need to work that out for yourself.
Yep. You got to do your own homework on that one to find the rough percentages that you will use only as guidelines. You'll never try to hit an actual number because if you do that, then you might as well believe in Santa Claus because you never can know what your macros really are and never can you know the macros that are really in the food.
I don't recommend eating swans, particularly in England, because you will be imprisoned.
Yes. And don't eat peacocks at the Berry Clinic or Nisha will push you off something.
Swans are protected in England, so don't do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Peacocks are protected on our farm by Nisha's handgun, so don't mess with the peacocks.
All right. Please share this. If you found some information in this that was useful,
Yep.
please share it. It's a
Absolutely.
sharing videos are a great way of you being able to introduce keto without introducing keto. You can just share it onto your Facebook page and whoever can listen to it and get interested or not, and it takes away that pressure from you from feeling like, you know, you have to answer all the questions or say anything. So sharing is a wonderful way for us to help the maximum number of people in reaching their health goals.
Absolutely. I totally agree. You have my permission to share this wherever you want to share it. You can even share it with the American Heart Association if you'd like.
And Dr. Berry and I will be back in 2 weeks, not next Thursday, but the Thursday after. And I don't know what we're going to talk about. We have, when Dr. Berry and Nisha was here, we wrote this big old list. So we got a lot to talk about. We'll pick something up that and we'll let you know ahead of time. And
we'll surprise you in 2 weeks.
And Dr. Berry and Nisha do their Facebook Live on Sunday night, and I do mine. At what time do you do yours? Is it 7?
I think it's 7 Central Standard Time.
So, and then I do my weekly Facebook Live at 8 p.m., which is Eastern, which is still 7 Central on Mondays. So Dr. Berry and Nisha on Sundays and me on Mondays. We hope to continue to help you, and we love hanging out with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was a pleasure, Carrie. It's so good to talk to you. I'll see you next time.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.